Let's get into the college football national championship. Miami and Indiana, no matter who wins, history will be made. Miami hasn't been back on the big stage in almost 2 decades. Indiana hasn't been on the big stage ever. The greatest coaching job in the history of coaching jobs is on the line here for Curt Cignetti and this Indiana football team, who are 8.5-point favorites. I think Miami is getting completely overlooked in this game. Indiana 8.5-point favorites. This game is in Miami. They are at home, and I picked the last 5 college football playoff games correctly. I have not had a loser since the first round of the college football playoff. We are fucking locked in, and Miami's chances boil down to if they can get pressure with 4. How do you beat an elite quarterback in any realm of football? Get pressure with 4. There's not a team in the country that is more equipped to do that than Miami. And you look at these two teams' common opponents. That's the number one thing here. That's where I'm basing the precipice of my argument is based on how did these two teams play against Ohio State. Not the entire precipice, but a lot of it has to do with that game, okay? Miami dominated the trenches against Ohio State way more than Indiana did. Way more than Indiana did, particularly Miami's offensive line against Indiana compared to Indiana's offensive line. Took a second to get out, right? Defensively, I think these defenses are about the same. I like Miami on the outside a little more with Ruben Bay and Messidor Keontae Scott, but I think up the middle and like the secondary as a whole, I think Indiana's is better. I think their linebackers are better. I don't know if their pass rushers aren't better, but the rest of the defense is. But if you have 2 elite edge rushers, that can transform everything. And it's not like Miami's lackluster in the back and they have one of the best corners in the country, right? They have one of the best safeties in the country. So we'll see how that'll play out. Fernando Mendoza, Ohio State, Indiana sacked Julian Sayin 5 times. Miami sacked Julian Sayin 5 times. But Fernando Mendoza got sacked 3 times. Carson Beck got sacked twice. Indiana ran for 118 yards on 3.5 yards per carry. Miami ran the ball for 150 yards on 4 yards per carry. And something else to keep in mind here is Mark Fletcher's been absolutely dominant in these playoffs so far. No team has really had a chance to establish the run on Indiana in these playoffs, so they just blew the brakes off of Oregon. They blew the brakes off of Alabama. The last time Indiana played a team that could get the run going, had a chance to establish the run, it was Ohio State, and Bo Jackson I have it here. Fuck, where'd it go? Come on, man. There it is. 83 yards on 5 yards per carry. Mark Fletcher is the key. Miami's trench battle is the key. They have the advantage on the offensive line. The defensive line, I think, is Miami as well. So this team that is playing at home and has the advantage in the trenches, although it's hard to say and it's probably very marginal, they've got 3 first-round picks in the trenches, respectfully. Miami does. 2 on the defensive side of the ball, 1 on the offensive side of the ball. They likely have 2 top 10 picks in the trenches, respectfully, in Miami. That can't be overlooked. Football is won at the line of scrimmage. Football is also won at the quarterback position. And as long as Carson Beck doesn't piss down his leg, I think Miami has a much better shot in this game than a lot of people are giving them credit for. We've seen teams run the football somewhat efficiently against Indiana over the last 3 games. Again, Bo Jackson ran the ball very efficiently against Indiana. It was just Ryan Day abandoning the run on some 4th downs, and Ryan Day malpractice coaching in certain scenarios down the stretch that cost Ohio State that game. I think Mark Fletcher could have a decent day here. The way this Miami offensive line has been imposing its will on some of the best defensive lines in the country is worth noting. Indiana shut down Oregon's pass rushers 2 times. 2 times this year. I forget their names already. It's the 2 Samoan dudes, Tuioti and not Tui Tuipulotu. I forget the other guy's name, but they got 2 Samoan edge rushers in Oregon. They needed to be difference makers in that game against Indiana. The second time they played last week in the semifinal, they weren't difference makers. The first time they played back in October. So Indiana has shut down elite edge rushers before, but Ruben Bain and Messidor are completely different beasts. I don't think you can completely shut them down. But here comes the people. Well, Ole Miss shut them down. Ole Miss got the quick passing game going. Ole Miss got an 80-yard run out of Kewan Lacey. Not saying that Indiana can't get the passing game going. They probably will. I mean, they're RPO merchants, obviously, but if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That does worry me for this Miami defense a little bit. I think Fernando Mendoza definitely has the ability to get the ball out quick. And listen, Oregon's best, like a key matchup is the Keontae versus whoever he's matched up against. But last week, Finney, the freshman corner for Oregon, was getting smoked by the third string receiver, the third leading receiver on Indiana. So their receivers are legit. Cooper, Surratt. I always forget the white kid's name. I always forget his name. Becker, Charlie Becker. They were smoking Oregon, and they have some good DBs over there in Oregon. So it's just, how will Keontae Scott match up? Because he needs to win some match. They need to win something on the perimeter. But if they get pressure with 4, which is very possible, then they can drop 8 into coverage. That's very beneficial, right? And that's how you beat an elite quarterback. We've seen it time and time again on the NFL level and at the collegiate level. So I think Miami has a better chance in this game because of the way they can win in the trenches. No other team was able to win in the trenches so far this college football playoff against Indiana. The only team that was close in the trench battle was Ohio State. Miami dominated Ohio State in the trenches more than Indiana did. This game's being played in Miami. I don't know. I think everybody's completely overlooking this team, man. Carson Beck playing his best football of his collegiate career at the best time right now, right? Clutch drives after clutch drives against Ole Miss. But Ole Miss's defense is nowhere near as good as Miami's, which is a slight issue. But Carson Beck was all right against Ohio State as well. Carson Beck wasn't good against A&M, and that's the thing. Like Beck or Mendoza, you're obviously trusting Mendoza. Ole Miss's pass defense isn't very good. I'd keep going back and forth here, but it's just the trenches. That's where you gotta plant your flag, plant your stake. I trust Miami's trenches to dominate. Maybe not dominate, but they've been dominant all season. I trust them to hold their own, and I trust them to win some of the trench battle more than a lot of people are giving them credit. You look at these receivers on the outside, although you're going to take, obviously, Surratt, Becker, and Cooper. Malachi Tony's no scrub. CJ Daniels no scrub. They have the other receiver. Oh, I forget his name. Fuck, what's his name? I can't do it with these college players. Can't believe I'm forgetting his name. He's their second leading receiver on the team. Marion. I think it's Marion. Let me look it up. I'm gonna look like such a non-ball knower, which is like whatever. I don't care. I'm pretty sure it's Marion. Whatever. I'm taking too long. My brain's having an aneurysm. We're not looking it up. Either way, like, Indiana has better weapons. They don't have better running back, and that's no disrespect to Hemi or Black. I just think Mark Fletcher's been the best running back in these playoffs so far, besides Kewan Lacey, especially over the last few games. He's been unbelievable. They've been imposing their will, running the football. He's been a beast running through arm tackles. Indiana's very good at tackling. They don't miss a lot of tackles either. So it's like something has to give here. But don't sleep on this receiving core in Miami either. Like, but the secondary, like Pons and company, the secondary is just better in Indiana. It's just a tough match. Indiana's a wagon. Indiana is really a wagon, but I think Miami has a better chance to cover this spread than a lot of people give them credit for. It's moved from 7 to 8.5, which means all of the money is coming in on Indiana. That's disrespectful. I like Miami on the money line with a little sprinkle here. I'm not going to lie. And I do like it, Miami plus the points. But since it's a national championship, you gotta unload the fuckery bets, right? You gotta unload the fuck you bets. Just the random little things. It's a player prop or last college football game of the season. It's only right that we get into some not more niche bets, but I'm not saying bet on it like the Super Bowl with like Cooper DeJean to get an interception, which I did bet last year, by the way. But either way, here's our bet slip. I love the under 47.5 in this game. Two great defenses. Charlie Becker, 47 receiving yards. Charlie Becker touchdown plus 135. He's been a go-to guy. It seems like they draw up a play a game for him. At least get him to get in the end zone at plus 135. Get him at 47 passing yards. And he cooked Finney, the best Oregon. One of the Oregon corner, the freshman corner. I'm pretty sure it's Brandon Finney. I don't know. I'm tired, bro. Cut me some slack here. Let me double check. Oregon rookie corner. He went off against Texas Tech. He had 2 picks. It is Brandon Finney. Okay. He had the 2 picks against Texas Tech. He had one of the lowest completion percentage allowed in NCAA this year. And Charlie Becker ran right past him for a touchdown last week. So he's the real deal. 47 passing or receiving yards to get him into the end zone as well, plus 135. 71 rushing yards for Mark Fletcher. He's at 100 in every single game in the playoffs. The last 2 teams that didn't have a chance to establish the run, but OSU did, and Bo Jackson, 83 yards on 5 yards per carry. He's a beast. He'll wear you down. He's big, runs right through arm tackles. He's going over 71 rushing yards. Omar Cooper, who is the leading receiver this season for Indiana, he did have 200 yards against Indiana State. That's probably propelling him to this. But the leading receiver for Indiana is at plus 750 to lead the game in receiving yards. I think that's tremendous value. You can also look at Surratt, who is like plus 250 to lead the game in receiving yards. Malachi Tony is actually the favorite right now, the youngest player in this game, which is ironic. But I like Omar Cooper, the leading receiver at Indiana in terms of receiving yards, to lead the game in receiving yards at plus 750. I like that a lot. More prop bets will probably be released the closer we get to game time. I couldn't find that many of them on DraftKings, so that's what we're going with right now. Miami plus 8.5, the under 47.5. Charlie Becker 47 receiving yards. Charlie Becker touchdown, 71 rushing yards for Mark Fletcher and Omar Cooper to lead the game in receiving at plus 750.